Welcome back to the Closing Advantage. Real property, real people, real stories, real consequences. Where relationships matter, knowledge wins, and professionals learn how to own their deals from contract to closing. My name is Bill O'Connell, and I am your host. I'm coming to you live from the F&F studios in Annapolis, Maryland. Okay, today's journey is going to continue with our travels through the title insurance policy with another story. And now, as they used to say in Dragnet, the names have been changed to protect the innocent. Today's story is all about a young family, a tight budget, and one clerical mistake buried in the public record that nearly cost them everything. No forged deed, no scam artist, no fraud ring, just one wrong letter in one last name. And years later, that tiny error turned into a legal war over who truly owned the rights to the family home. It's also a perfect reminder that the public records are only as reliable as the humans entering the data. It all began when a businessman, we'll call David Carter, won a money judgment against Marco and Elena Rivera. Now, Carter wanted to protect his rights, so we recorded the judgment in the county where the Riveras owned real estate. Smart move! Because once properly recorded and indexed, a judgment can become a lien against real property. But there was a problem no one noticed. When the clerk entered the judgment into the public index, the Rivera surname was misspelled. Instead of Rivera, it was entered as Rivetta. One letter off, tiny mistake, huge consequences. A few years later, the Riveras decided to sell their home to Ryan and Emily Parker, a young couple with two small children. The two-bedroom apartment had become too small, too noisy, and too expensive. The Riveras' modest single-family home with a fenced-in backyard felt like a castle to them. Their daughter wanted to plant flowers. Their son wanted a dog. Emily wanted a kitchen table where they could all sit and have dinner. And Ryan just wanted to make the numbers work. Because by the time closing day came around, they were stretched thin. But by the down payment, lender's fees, moving costs, and insurance premiums, every dollar mattered. Then came the line item many buyers question: owner's title insurance. Ryan looked at the settlement statement and quietly asked, "Do we really need this?" Settlement agent didn't pressure them. Instead, the agent calmly explained the policy, its benefits, and why every purchaser should buy it. Emily and Ryan exchanged looks. They were already over budget. But after a long pause, Emily said, "If we're buying this home for our children, let's protect it." So they purchased the owner's policy. Smart move! That decision would later save them. Now, as part of the purchasing process, a search of the public records was obtained. The search picked up two judgments against the Riveras and their mortgage. But the Carter's judgment was not picked up because it was indexed under Rivetta. So it wasn't paid off at closing. Parker's moved in. Life began. A few months later, the attorney's letter came in the mail. Carter was claiming that his judgment had priority over the Parker's interest in the property, and that if he wasn't paid in full within 30 days, he was going to seek a writ of execution and sell the family home. How is this possible? The Parkers thought. We did everything right. Ryan thought it had to be a scam, but so what he did was he called the settlement agent. He was worried. Can I be forced to pay somebody else's debt? What have I done wrong? How is this possible? They spoke to the settlement agent, and they heard the four words that every homeowner wants to hear. You have title insurance. Yeehaw! Okay, so now here's where the policy comes in. Now, under the standard owner's policy, it contains, as I told you before, 10 covered risks. The two that I think might be applicable in this situation is covered risk number 2, any defect, lien, or encumbrance on title. Covered risk number 3 could also be applicable, unmarketable title. So if an old judgment, is asserted against the property, these covered risks immediately become relevant depending on the facts and the jurisdiction. Now, the Alta homeowners policy, which provides broader coverage for consumers who own their own home, it also contains covered risks that would be applicable. Now, you remember the homeowners policy has 33, I think, covered risks. So covered risk number 1 says someone owns an interest in your title. Covered risk number 8 says someone else has a lien on your title. And then it gives some examples. It says some examples of liens are, and it lists a bunch of things. And eventually it gets to a judgment lien. And that's what we have here. Now, both policies contain a provision that covers the costs, attorney's fees, and expenses incurred by the insurer in defending the insured's title. This matters because even if the homeowner wins, lawsuits are expensive. And that's what happened in this case. So the legal dispute centered on whether a judgment indexed under the wrong spelling gave notice to later purchasers. Eventually, the insurer successfully defended the Parkers' title because the court found that a reasonable search under the correct name would not reveal the judgment. And thus the Parkers later, as innocent parties, should not lose priority because of the clerical mistake. But it took 2 years and an appeal to get that final result. The public records are powerful, but they are imperfect. Mistakes happen. Misspellings happen. Human beings enter data. The title insurance protects families from yesterday's problem. Ryan and Emily did not create the issue. They did not know about it. They simply bought a home. The cheapest line item on the settlement statement can often become the most valuable. The policy they almost declined was the shield they needed. So when buyers say, we're already spending so much, can we skip owner's title insurance? You can say sometimes the biggest risk is something no one can see at closing. One small, old clerical error can be your problem in the future. Owner's title insurance protects your home and your family from that unknown. That's not fear selling, that's truth selling. Okay, that's it for today. Remember, don't just close it, own it. That's your closing advantage.